Good morning, everyone. Welcome. You can open your journals to page 87 for today. And we'll take the opportunity to come to be present in this room. Whatever happened before, whatever happens later, that's before and that's later. So we can't worry about those things or be entrenched in those things. And so I'd like you to kind of like shake it out. I know you're in your seats, but like shake it out, move your bodies a little bit. Yeah, that's good. I see some of you doing it. Come on, shake with me. Shake it. Get that vagus nerve. Oh, come on, you people. What the heck? Come on, wiggle it out. Yeah, that's it. Shake it, move it, move it. I am still. Come on. It is Wednesday, March 19th, and you are alive. Like, get it going, get it moving, do your best Muppet impression, whatever that is. Yeah, now some more of you are good. Okay, great. So being here in this room we're lucky to be here. We've got this whole day, right? This whole day ahead of us. So being here in the moment, being grateful for what we have. Thank you. I want to bring a couple, as usual, opportunities for you. An opportunity for you is here at Penn State, there is the Sustainability Leadership Minor. Sustainability Leadership Minor, which is going to be an enhancement to any major in this world. The idea of sustainability is interesting because what we're doing right now, as we go through today's class, it will become more and more evident that what we're doing right now, we cannot sustain what we're doing now. What we're doing currently is not sustainable. That means we aren't going to be able to continue in the way that we're continuing. So sustainability leadership means that we have to find that place. We have to lead others. We have to show people the way to be, the way to do things, the way that we can find a place where we can live in a way that will be able to sustain, right, our populations, the populations of animals around us, plants around us, the land around us. So how is it? Where are we going to get to that? So the Sustainability Leadership Minor, if you take BiSci and then if you become a TA, it will be 10 credits toward this minor, 10 of 18 necessary credits. And so this is a cool opportunity for you to know about because you've already done this class or will have done this class that applies directly to this major. And then if you choose to be a TA, then we'll talk about that opportunity a little bit later in the semester. But that gives you another 7 credits toward this minor. So that's a pretty cool opportunity. Business majors do this, RPTM majors do this, all kinds, just across the board. Marketing majors, sustainability isn't going to go away. We need to figure this out. So I encourage you to explore this. So today we are going to talk about this first person ecology, and Autumn is here, and we're going to do this class together, which is a great joy for me. So say more.
Yeah, so first person ecology. I want you to talk with your lab group on what you think personal ecology is. I'm going to take a few minutes, and I want everybody, if TAs can encourage everybody to incorporate, each person can incorporate their voice into this conversation. What is first person ecology?
Okay. I have really bad headaches this morning. I'm sorry. Not feeling the best. My mouth to my leg. I have endometriosis, so everything's like 6 a.m. I'm sorry.
Is it like the first day that's the worst and then it gets better? That's the way it is for me too.
I can't eat everything.
Mhm. Yeah, I hear you. It's hard. It really is. Cramps are the worst.
I'm expecting any day now. And this is not a good weekend for that.
So true. Okay. Who has a thought on personal ecology? First person ecology. Awesome. Got one right up here.
Um, when I look at the photo, I think of like an ecological footprint. So it's kind of like your impact on the world, and how you support it or how you cause it to fail.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's give some snaps. So it's your impact on the world. Anybody else have a something different that they want to bring in?
Hello. So when I first read first person ecology, I thought of like a way you keep yourself like safe. You know how you be like eco-friendly.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that you're bringing in eco-friendly because it's also our connection to the environment that we're a part of. So it's our impact on the world, but it's also deeper, like how do we connect to Earth personally in our daily lives? And so today we're going to be talking about that. In a culture that's very separated from the natural world, and we've been doing that for years and years, how do we understand how all the products that we consume come directly from the earth? And how do we increase our awareness about that so that we can make choices that strengthen that connection to the land that we're a part of? So there's a botanist and activist, Robin Wall Kimmerer. She says that ecological restoration is inseparable from cultural and spiritual restoration, and is also inseparable from the spiritual responsibilities of caregiving and world renewal. So yeah, just sit with that for just a second. If you want to just close your eyes, think about when you woke up today, the moment you woke up, saw the beautiful sun shining, heard the birds chirping on your way to class today, whatever food you consumed this morning came from near and far. Did you think about where that food came from? How the sun is actually shining on you on your walk to class? What species of birds you were hearing? That is first person ecology.
So we've looked at this image of the Earth rise, right? The photo taken from the moon in 1969. And at the time, in 1969, there were, the population, like looking back and thinking about all the people that were living on Earth at that time, right? And Earth hasn't changed. It's still the same size, the same mass, the same land formations as in 1969. And yet our world population has doubled, right? In 1969, the population was around 4 billion people. 4 billion. If you're 19, in your lifetime, 1.8 billion people have been born on this planet since you were born. Right? So we're up to almost, or we're now over, excuse me, 8 billion people. And the resources, the size of the planet, all of that has remained the same. And so, do you have that world population thing pulled up? No, okay, it's fine. So we are changing and shifting our population constantly. If you want to turn the screen off for a minute and bring that up, that'd be cool. So the way that each year about 140 million births take place, and of course people are also dying, right? She's going to bring up the chart that is pretty cool about these, how these things balance, and we can watch it happening. So as our population has grown, 1.8 billion people being born since you were born, it's that our population isn't just increasing linearly, right? We aren't just going up by a little bit, it's doubling. And every time it doubles, this is called exponential growth. So over the period of time that we have been on this planet, right, the population has grown in this curve that looks like this. It's this huge sweeping curve. If you remember in your text, there's a bunch of charts that have those growth lines of different things happening, different types of growth that are happening. It could be things like the GDP is growing like that, the gross domestic product, so measuring money. It could be also things like ocean acidification is growing like that. So all of this, the idea that we are not just our population, but things, other curves are happening as a result of the population, the human population going up and up. So the dawn of the Anthropocene, write that word down in your journal there. Antropocene, the Anthropocene. So all of those geological eras that come before us, right, the Mesozoic era, those are all based on rock formations that have happened, right? Things that have happened geologically on the planet, Pangea splitting apart, dinosaurs dying, like all of these major things that are happening on our planet. And now we are in an era that scientists are calling the Anthropocene. It is the time of humans. Anthropomorphic. If you think of anthro, it means it refers to people. So we are the ones that are now shaping the planet. It is not meteors or geology. It is how we are changing this planet. So sometimes, oh, here it is. Here it's coming. Maybe the screens will come on. So the current world population is growing and growing. So births today, 141,000. Births this year, 28 million, right? And we're just continuing to go up. Can you scroll up just, there we go. Deaths this year. So see how births is still higher than the deaths. Population growth overall today, 74,000. Population growth this year, 14.8 million. So thank you, Sam, for getting that. This is called worldometers information for the world population. If you want to check it out later, it's pretty interesting. Different things being measured. All right, will you take us back to the slideshow, please? Thanks. So where we are, thinking about the population, see our population growth from 7,000 BC, where we're way down here, and then we get to like here, right? This is like close to 1950 or so, and then things just jump. And here, when I first started showing this chart, 2025 felt like a long ways away, and now here we are. So over 8 billion was the population. And then related to that chart, this is the exponential versus the linear trend, the mathematics of what's going on. And then how it looks like when we look at all these different, see how transportation, of course, like 1950, and then things really jump up, large dams, water usage, paper production, fertilizer consumption, all of those, as well as tropical forest loss, domesticated land, coastal nitrogen, ocean acidification. So the curves are parallel. And then, of course, there's this one that is about species extinctions since 1800. So species in danger of extinction, 33% of birds, 41% of amphibians are all in trouble. And so is our population the problem? Talk to your neighbor about that. Is our population the problem? Is there anyone who'd like to speak to this? Microphones are available. Is population the problem? Yeah. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
I was just gonna say, I think that no, it's not necessarily our current population size. I think there's a way that we could coexist with the Earth. We're just not doing that.
Mhm.
But there's probably a point where overpopulation would maybe hurt the planet, but not right now, I think. Yeah.
Thank you. Spot on, right? Well said. Right now, no. If we were doing things in an equitable way, the population would not necessarily be the problem. There is enough food on this planet for everyone. There is enough resources on this planet for everyone, but it's not being shared equitably or considered. And we have other things to consider as well.
So a way in ecology where we measure population increases in animals is we look at their carrying capacity. So how many resources they have available to them in their current situation. So in terms of humans, according to the European Commission, as of May 2024, the number of forcibly displaced people in the world has reached a staggering 120 million people, marking another historic increase in the increase of displaced individuals. And so this displacement is caused by the land not being able to support people, by wars being fought in different areas that destroy infrastructure that allow for people to live in different areas, for wells becoming dry, for climate catastrophes happening in different places that then moves that carrying capacity down in certain areas. So people have to move into into areas that can support them. And that is one of the problems that we are facing. So just like you said, we have the resources, but if we continue to destroy the things around us for others, then people will be forced to occupy less land mass. And then that makes it a problem for us to support. So let's think deeper about this. In your book, Developing Ecological Consciousness, there's this diagram here, framing it as the expansion of human awareness from childhood to adulthood. And I believe that this also plays a role in first-person ecology. So the first scale of perception that we have access to is our immediate perception. So I want to invite you to participate in a meditation practice that is used for people that are experiencing anxiety. So if you want to just close your eyes, put your feet on the ground. And I want you to feel 3 different things around you that are in your immediate surroundings. So 3 things that you can touch. Become aware of that. Maybe it's your jeans, it's my jeans, my skin, my hair. It's right here. I want you to open your eyes. 3 things that you see. So maybe you see me, might see the screen, see Jen, you see Sam up here, or you see one of your lab mates. 3 things in our immediate perception. So now you can, if you still have your eyes closed, you can open them. And so that's our immediate. Our personal and experiential, that's our experience over our lifetime. So things that we've experienced, every one of you in this room has a unique story of what brought you to this class, what brought you to this university. But that's not your whole story too. You have your family, your friends, the experiences that you've had with nature that inform the decisions that you make here on planet Earth. And then when we look more widely, we're doing an experiment in all of your lab sections that's community oriented. So seeing how you all can come together on a certain issue and make change, and then see how all these different communities of people in this room then make change together, collective change together. So that's the community. And it starts to I believe that as we get further out, it becomes harder and harder for us to tangibly realize the impact of our actions. So when we get to landscape and regional, that's about forest succession. So how different forests go through life cycles, different life forms go through different life cycles. How the land, the Appalachian Mountains used to be the tallest mountain range in the world. And now, because of the tectonic plates, it's slowly getting lower and lower and lower. And the Himalayas are part of that, that's bringing the mountains up and becoming the tallest mountains. So how our landscape is changing across geological time. And then the global systems. We talked about climate change. We talked about oceans. These are big things, ocean currents and the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Because of the currents, that's why that Great Pacific Garbage Patch is there. And then climate change is so broad, it also uses this concept of geographic time that sometimes within our human life, 100 years, 120 years, maybe, if we can create more technologies to increase our longevity, we can't fully comprehend the impact of our actions across this time period. And then this introduces the temporal scales as well. How we have moment-to-moment experiences. So the now is all that we have. But then Your experience of time is different from your mom's experience of time. She's been on this planet for longer. She's seen more through her experiential awareness, her personal experiential, and she sees things differently because of that geographic time. And then generationally, through our ancestors, a lot of indigenous groups have a strong basis on generational awareness. And this brings us to the honorable harvest. So I want you to take in what's on this slide. This honorable harvest practice was developed by indigenous groups across generations of North America on how they should care for each other and the land. And it is mentioned also by Robin Wall Kimmerer to restore ecosystems. We can choose to be wary of what we are consuming on all the scales of our perception and use things based on this idea. And I think that's the challenge of ecological education, is that sometimes it's hard for us to realize the impact that our actions have, not just in our immediate experience, but also as the generations move forward. So now we're going to apply this idea to our own society, our own culture.
So what does this have to do with what we're doing today or what's happening today? All of those curves that we talk about. Just take it in, think about your experience. It might not be, in this kind of elaborate shopping opportunity, but the consumption. So the question we'd like you to consider with your lab group is, how do your consumption choices connect to global systems? How do your consumption choices connect to global systems? So take a moment, think about it, and then talk with those around you.
Thinking of bringing up what you were talking about in the car, how I was like, parts, I could buy parts another month, and we can show them, like, look at all of these bottles right here. Right, you could take them, and people probably won't even realize because they're just in their immediate experience.
Yeah, that's a could work in well, right? Or just, yeah. I also kind of want this just to open the door, because then other classes, when we talk about shelter and we talk about, that we can come around to how the choosing happens too. So I feel like this is the door opening, and then that.
I really want to make sure that you can share your ham story.
Okay. Okay, good.
Too. So
Okay.
something I'm thinking
Thanks.
about.
I was rehearsing the ham story this morning, so it's good.
I was just writing with Jen yesterday. Well,
So this is a door that we're going to open today and that we're going to continue. These are threads that we're going to pull through. Does anybody have any initial thoughts that they'd like to share on this?
We were just talking about like fast fashion and how like most of those clothes end up in landfills and like half of them are not even good quality, so they're like synthetic and they don't even like biodegrade.
Yeah.
We were just talking about those.
That's great. And that's going to tie into, we're going to talk pretty extensively about that in a couple weeks. So I'm really glad that you brought it up. Thank you. Hey, Mary Lou, will you come down to Zach right there?
Over here.
Thanks.
Going off of what that person just said, I was also telling my group about this book called I think it's called like The Travels of a T-shirt in the Global Economy.
Mm.
And it literally tracks a shirt like from someone buying it, and like how it's made and then where it ends up after the original consumer gets rid of it. And it does a really good job of putting this idea into perspective, that like the things that we buy were like such a small part of their journey.
The story.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Morgan. Beautiful. Zach.
I was just gonna talk about overconsumption. I think that it's like a massive problem. And like I do it too. Like I buy so many things that I don't need, but I feel like you kind of I feel like it's almost like you have to in some aspects because it's like you see a bunch of things on like TikTok and you want it, but like it's so not needed.
Right.
So, and I feel like the other problem is a lot of the companies like continually change things. Like Apple changes a charger like every 2 years and there's no
Oh.
need for that.
My
So I
pet
feel
peeve.
like it just, I don't know. You're like forced into doing a lot of things because you can't avoid it.
Forced, right. So yes. Okay, Monica, great.
Going off of overconsumption, we were talking about how sometimes we just buy things just to buy it, like online or in person. If you see a good deal, you're just like, oh my God, I need to get this. I need to do this. In reality, you don't.
Right. Yes, thank you. So things really started to change in our consumption ways. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No worries. Yeah, kind of piggybacking off of that, it's like, do you really need like a pop socket that costs half a cent to make? Or in all reality, do you really need an iPhone, even though most of us, probably 80% of us in here are addicted to our phones? Like, but that's human nature. It's greed. It's something that you want. Like, even if you go a bigger scale of like a car, like the creation of like a Tesla, one battery is the equal pollution creation of like 2 cars' lifespans. So it really all depends on like how you see it with consumption, but like in all reality, it just goes back to human greed of stuff that you want and you're not really thinking in the grand scheme of things because you don't care.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. So hard to say, right? It's hard to acknowledge. Okay.
I saw a video not that long ago and it was talking about how people were over donating their old clothes to thrift stores in the US and then they ended up like stuck in these areas of less wealthy countries. And it was really interesting to see that because I feel like I never consider what I'm going to do with my clothes when I'm done with them because the easiest option is to take them to Plato's Closet or like a thrift store, but they can't always sell that stuff. So then where does it go after that? And it was interesting to see that it's being sent to other countries and they don't know what to do with it either because no
just
one wants it
piling it
there
up.
either. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's just so much stuff. Thank you. What a beautiful conversation. And I'm going to cut it off just because it's something that we're going to approach in a few different ways over the course of the next couple of weeks. Because there are so many different angles to look at this. What I will say for right now is that really our consumption, if you think about how your great-grandparents lived, right? They didn't have the opportunity simply to overconsume, at least most of them. And then after World War II, the consumption of stuff, the production of stuff just skyrocketed. Everybody needed their own washing machine, their own dryer, their own car, their own house. And so it's so interesting, the psychology of this, What I want to say is that corporations in 2024, corporations spent $389 billion in advertising in the United States alone. $389 billion. That's $1,145 per person in the United States to convince us to buy stuff, right? And so we don't shop in this way as much as we used to, but the TikTok, the online, all of those different ways of finding the stuff, right? So we're branded in these ways. So do you want the clicker for this part?
So as we go through this, when we go into the psychology, especially related to ecology, I came up with a few ways that we distance ourselves from our perception, those broader aspects of perception that we talked about in the beginning of the class. So the first is it severs our connection to the origins of these products. So when you look at products that you buy, the packaging doesn't really reference where they come from. The only reason why they have where they came from is because that's part of what's required of them to tell you where it was manufactured and or if it's food, where it was grown. So it severs our connection to the origins of these products, which further distances ourselves. So we'll be talking more about separation from our environment next class. But it also influences our spatial perception and awareness because it presents these idealized versions of what we want our life to be. It could, if it's supposed to be a natural product, it could even have like a little representation of nature that's not really true. And packaged goods rarely show the places that they've impacted. It reframes our relationships. So who's ever heard of greenwashing? You want to raise your hand? Raise them high. Greenwashing. Yeah. So can someone with their hand raised talk a little bit about greenwashing? Yeah. Thank you.
Greenwashing is kind of when brands will market a product saying that it's eco-friendly, but they don't really take the steps to make it eco-friendly. They just kind of plaster it on there, and it gives the illusion that you're helping the environment when really there are other options that would be better than what you are choosing.
That was a fantastic definition. Thank you.
Autumn, I have one here.
Okay. Where are you? Oh, perfect. Great.
I'm from New Jersey and we banned plastic straws, but before that whole thing happened, there was a bunch of companies that started saying like, oh, we're gonna have plastics or we're gonna have paper straws and stuff to look green, but then they still have plastic cups and that's way more plastic than the straw. So they would be like, oh, we're doing something, but they wouldn't put real effort into it.
Very, very good. Absolutely. Yeah, so it's frustrating. And it also influences our identity formation. So like Jen was talking about, we get branded by these products. Like Nike is selling the aspect of just do it. You can do anything. And just think about the brands that you think are cool in your life. There's an ideology behind that forms your identity and creates these needs that aren't really true needs. They're just these things that are more connected to status and recognition than what's deeper inside of us. And so it's very fascinating what these companies have been able to do related to that. Harvard professor Naomi or Stakis, who studies earth science related to history, said climate change is an epic market failure. Because we've created all these products, we churn them out, and then it also impacts our mental health, our ability to connect to other people in a genuine and authentic way. And it distorts our sense of spatial awareness related to where these products come from and what impact they actually have on not only the land that we stand on, but lands that we don't even have in our awareness. So last class, we were talking about plastic water bottles. And these were the brands that were mentioned: Deer Park, Dasani, and Aquafina. So with the person sitting next to you or your lab group, I want you to discuss what you think these brands want you to believe and how much of it is true.
Sorry, that part, I thought that you were gonna be doing it. So no. Kind of like, oh, I'm sorry. You did a great job. Thank you. I'm sorry. Right. If it felt a little bit off, yeah. Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Sorry. That was my bad. Here, how about you start now? Okay. Sorry. I like this, by the way. It is a Starbucks product that was getting thrown out. And the one that I carry in my purse, I was the lid, but this, like, I can totally carry it upside down and like, yes. So I
It was
still
being
love
thrown
it.
out.
It was because it wasn't selling. I was like, I had looked at it on the shelf in the grocery store being like, I love these colors. I don't need that. And then it was being thrown out. And I was like, yeah. Don't throw that out. I would have paid $22 for that last week.
All righty. Let's hear from some people. What are these brands trying to have you believe and how much of it is true? Yeah.
Sorry. All of them say like something about clean or pure or like very, like I feel like they're trying to make it seem like it's safer than tap water.
Yeah. Do you think it's actually safer? What did you learn last class? No.
Autumn.
Yeah.
I feel like these companies are trying to make it seem like they're eco-friendly by having like the recycle symbol on the Dasani or the green thing on the Deer Park. And also on the Deer Park, like having the 100% natural spring water. They're trying to make it seem like it's better than your normal tap water. Well, it's also like, I don't know, like deceptive marketing because they're trying to get the consumer to keep buying this product thinking that it's good when in reality they want them to just buy more and more of it.
I do want to point out that this is not a slam on marketing majors. I'm sure that there are a lot of marketing majors in here. It is smart. Like they're getting people to buy their product. Marketing is so clever. It's so important. And so for those of you in the room, this has often been a really interesting point of choice for people. I hang out with a lot of marketing majors. What are you going to market? How are you going to market? So sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No worries. A lot of the time, I recently found this out like a year or two ago. These thin, fine plastics aren't even recyclable.
Right.
Like stuff that holds your strawberries or raspberries, like it's not recyclable. It's too like fine and thin that they can't reuse it. So like in instances, some water bottles are like this. I don't know specifically for all of them, but and then also on top of that, like a lot of the time, I think that they make these the most readily accessible. Like in vending machines, you'll be somewhere, or like you'll be hiking, and like it's the only thing accessible to you. So they're making you kind of think like this is your only option. And like if you plan earlier ahead for that and think about it, then you could eliminate that.
Curious, is the person who talked about Deer Park here today? Deer Park water? No? Yeah? I am just curious about like what is it all about the taste? I put the right water bottle up there, right? Yeah.
With
Right.
the clip.
Is that right?
That's the right one.
Is it about the taste or is it also about like the marketing of the product itself? Like when you look at Deer Park, the brand versus Dasani and Aquafina.
Deer Park tastes better to me, and the squeezy water bottle was just nostalgic. I used to have those at basketball practice. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to, hear a little bit. And then in your lab, Miracle, did you talk more about this? Dasani and Aquafina?
Yeah, I mean, we did discuss further about which bottle is better. I've come to the conclusion that it's Deer Park. I was kind of tripping about the Aquafina, I'm not gonna lie.
You think it's Deer Park? Is it something about like the marketing itself or the taste?
I mean, the taste, I don't really like taste that much of a difference. I think Dasani has like the most distinguished taste because I think they put salt in their water, so like it makes you a little bit more dehydrated. But other than that, like I can't really see a difference. But Deer Park is, I don't know, like cold Deer Park, I would say.
Okay.
Something like
Okay.
that.
Cool.
Fascinating conversation. It's good. Pam story?
Pam story.
Okay, great. So taking this image, it's some art that was created by a Polish artist, Paweł Kuzinski. The idea of we can do something with our resources or we can do other things with our resources, right? There's a story that goes like this. There was a mother who was baking a ham. And before she put the ham in the pan, she cut the end off the ham and pitched it, right? And so the daughter who was watching this happen said, "Mom, why do you cut off the end of the ham?" And the mom said, "I don't know. We'll have to ask Grandma next time we go. She taught me to do that." So next visit to Grandma, like, "Why do you cut the end off the ham?" And Grandma said, "Oh, that's so it will fit in my pan." So understanding why we choose to do things, the story behind, the ecology behind how we make our choices. There's nothing wrong with the end of the ham. You can use it just the same. It's just that she cut it off because it didn't fit in the pan. But in this new story,